Believe it or not, the NBA Slam Dunk Contest was once very special, and especially to the kids of each generation.
Mac McClung has done everything possible to earn a spot in the NBA. He's a 3-time Slam Dunk Contest champion, a G League MVP, and a player who has dominated at every level outside of the NBA. Yet despite all of that, he still can't land a full-time contract. Fans are confused. How can a player this talented, this exciting, and this hardworking still be ignored? Meanwhile, the NBA seems perfectly happy using him for dunk contests but won't give him a real shot on a roster. Some say it's because of his size, others claim his playstyle doesn't fit today's NBA, and some believe the league sees him as just a gimmick, not a real player. But the truth behind why Mac McClung keeps getting overlooked is even more frustrating. So, is McClung being blackballed by the NBA? Or is there a real reason why teams keep passing on one of the most electrifying players in basketball? The answer might shock you. Mac McClung should be an NBA player by now. The man has done everything. He's dominated the G League, won championships, shattered records, and even became a 3-time NBA dunk contest champion. And yet, despite all of this, he's still sitting on the sidelines while teams sign players with half his talent. How does that make sense? How does a guy who's proven himself at every level keep getting ignored? Some say it's his size, others say it's his playstyle. But the real reason? That's a story worth telling. Believe it or not, McClung was never supposed to be a basketball star in the first place. Born in a small town in Gate City, Virginia, where football ruled, Mac came from an athletic family. His father played college football at Virginia Tech, his uncle played Major League Baseball, and his sister was a high-level soccer player. But Mac, he wanted to hoop. It didn't take long before he became the talk of his town. His high school games were legendary, turning small-time gyms into packed arenas. By his senior year, he was putting up video game numbers, scoring 64 points in a single game. On his debut, he dropped 47 points in front of NBA legend Patrick Ewing, who was so impressed that he recruited him on the spot. Mac wasn't just good, he was breaking records. He passed Allen Iverson for the most points in a single season. He led his high school to its first-ever state championship with 47 points in the title game, shattering the record previously held by J.J. Redick. His highlight videos were pulling in millions of views, making him a viral sensation. But despite the hype, scouts weren't convinced. Even with all his success, he was labeled as a 3-star recruit, not even ranked in the top 100 prospects. He wasn't invited to the McDonald's All-American game. In fact, ESPN had him listed as the 233rd best player in his class. Mac took that personally. At the Iverson Classic Dunk Contest, he put on a show. But somehow he lost to Kevin Porter Jr. He wasn't going to let that happen again. When he got his chance at revenge in the Ballas Life Dunk Contest, he didn't just win, he dominated. From that moment on, he swore he would never lose a dunk contest again. But being a viral high school star didn't mean anything in college. At Georgetown, he had to prove himself all over again. His freshman year, he put up solid numbers, making the Big East All-Freshman team while leading all freshmen in scoring. But his efficiency was shaky and scouts started picking apart his weaknesses. For an undersized guard, they said he wasn't passing enough. His assist-to-turnover ratio was bad. His shooting percentages weren't great. Mac was improving, but it wasn't enough to turn heads. By his junior year, he had enough. He transferred to Texas Tech looking for a fresh start. Right away, he proved he could play at the highest level, winning Big 12 Newcomer of the Year. But once again, scouts weren't sold. They told him to stay in college for another year. Mac had other plans. He declared for the 2021 NBA draft. And to no one's surprise, he wasn't selected. Mac knew he had to do it the hard way. He joined the Los Angeles Lakers for Summer League, forming a deadly duo with Austin Reeves. The Lakers liked what they saw, signing him to their G League team. That's when Mac really took off. In his debut, he faced the NBA G League Ignite, featuring top prospects like Jalen Green and Jonathan Kuminga. With NBA scouts watching, Mac stole the show, dropping 24 points, 9 assists and 6 rebounds. That season, he averaged 19.5 points and 6.3 assists, shooting 39% from 3. He won G League Rookie of the Year and even made his NBA debut for the Lakers. In his first game, he played 20 minutes, putting on a solid performance. But then he got traded. The Chicago Bulls picked him up, only to play him for 2 minutes before cutting him. The Golden State Warriors signed him, then let him go before the season started. No matter how well he played, no one was willing to give him a real chance. But then everything changed. The 2023 NBA dunk contest was in desperate need of saving. Stars weren't participating and the event was becoming a joke. That's when the NBA called Mac McClung. Here's the crazy part. The 76ers signed him just days before the event. Many believe it was just so the NBA could say they had an actual NBA player in the contest. Whether it was a publicity stunt or not, Mac stole the show. His first dunk? A perfect 50. The second? Another 50. By the end of the night, he had single-handedly saved the dunk contest. And yet, even after becoming a viral sensation again, the 76ers let him go. He went back to the G League, this time on a mission. He won a championship, leading his team in scoring. He won G League MVP. And then, the NBA ignored him again. The next year he returned to defend his dunk contest title, and won again. He became the 5th player ever to win back-to-back contests. And just last month, he became only the 2nd player in history to win 3. Despite this, NBA teams still won't take him seriously. He put up MVP numbers in the G League, averaging 25.7 points, 6.6 assists and 4.7 rebounds, leading his team to the best record in the conference. And yet the Orlando Magic never called him up, not even once. The truth is, NBA teams aren't looking for stars in the G League. They want role players who fit their system, not dynamic scorers who can take over games. Mac doesn't fit the modern NBA mold. He's 6 feet 2 inches and a high-energy guard in a league obsessed with size and versatility. At this point he's stuck. He's done everything he can, but NBA teams refuse to give him a real shot. If nothing changes, there's only one logical move left: going overseas. Players like Shane Larkin, Mike James and Kendrick Nunn have gone to Europe and become stars. If NBA teams won't take him seriously, why should he keep waiting? Maybe he sticks around for one more dunk contest just to make history. But after that, it's hard to see him wasting any more time in a league that clearly doesn't believe in him. So what do you think? Does Mac McClung deserve a real shot in the NBA, or is it time for him to leave for good? Let me know in the comments. And if you want to hear about another player the NBA ignored, check out this video next. Absolutely. Here's a detailed, engaging and high-retention conclusion that expands on Mac McClung's situation, the NBA's shifting priorities, and the bigger picture of overlooked talent. This will be written in a storytelling format, keeping the viewer hooked until the very end. Mac McClung's journey isn't just a story about one player being overlooked. It's a reflection of how the NBA operates today, how talent alone isn't enough, and how some of the best players in the world never get a real chance. Not because they aren't good enough, but because they don't fit the mold that front offices want. Think about it. Mac has done everything right. He's dominated every level he's played at, he's improved his weaknesses, he's proven he can compete with NBA players, and yet time and time again he's been told, not good enough. But what does that even mean? When you look at his numbers, his performances and his impact, it's clear he's better than a lot of players in the league. So why is he still stuck in the G League? The answer is simple. NBA teams don't want what he brings to the table. It's not about talent. It's about fitting the system. Over the last decade, the NBA has moved away from small guards. Gone are the days when a 6 feet 2 inches explosive scorer could carve out a long career just by being a walking bucket. The league has become obsessed with switchability, size, and positional versatility. Teams are now built around wings and playmakers who can defend multiple positions. If you're under 6 feet 5 inches, you either need to be an elite playmaker like Chris Paul, an insane shooter like Steph Curry, or a once-in-a-generation offensive engine like Trae Young or Damian Lillard. If you don't fit one of those molds, good luck. And that's the problem with Mac McClung. He's not bad at anything, but he's also not elite at the things NBA teams want from a 6 feet 2 inches guard. They don't see him as a starter. They don't see him as a reliable backup. They don't see him as a system player who can blend into an offense. But here's the crazy part. They're wrong. Because what Mac McClung actually is a spark plug, a game changer off the bench. He's the type of player who can single-handedly shift momentum, light up a crowd and swing a game in his team's favor. The NBA used to love guys like this. Think back to players like Nate Robinson, Lou Williams, Jason Terry, or Jamal Crawford. Small guards who could come in, drop 10 to 15 points in a few minutes, and keep the offense rolling while the starters rested. Mac McClung can be that guy. The problem is, NBA teams don't care about that anymore. They don't want a guy who can go out there and get buckets in spurts. They want a guy who fits neatly into a role, plays within a system, and doesn't disrupt team structure. And that's the real reason Mac McClung isn't in the NBA. It's not that he's not good enough. It's not that he hasn't earned a shot. It's that NBA teams are too stubborn to see his value. And if something doesn't change soon, he's going to leave. Because here's the thing. Mac McClung has options. If the NBA won't give him a real shot, Europe will. Over the last few years, we've seen a ton of talented players head overseas and thrive. Guys like Mike James, Shane Larkin, and Kendrick Nunn have turned into superstars in the EuroLeague, making great money while proving that they should have never been ignored by the NBA in the first place. And let's be real. If Mac McClung went to Europe, he would immediately become a star. Imagine him playing in front of 50,000 screaming fans in Greece or Turkey, dropping 30-point games in the EuroLeague, and leading his team to championships. Imagine him dominating the FIBA World Cup for another country, making the NBA look foolish for ignoring him. It's happened before and it can happen again. The NBA might not respect Mac McClung right now, but if he goes overseas and becomes a EuroLeague MVP, teams will suddenly start paying attention. And at that point, it might be too late. Because if the NBA won't give him a real opportunity when he's begging for one, why would he come back when he doesn't need them anymore? That's the situation we're looking at right now. The sad reality is that unless a team finally wakes up and gives him a real shot, we might have already seen the last of Mac McClung in the NBA. And if that happens, the league will only have itself to blame. So now the question is, should Mac McClung stay in the NBA and fight for a spot, or should he leave and make a name for himself elsewhere? Let me know in the comments what you think. And if you want to hear about another player the NBA ignored, check out this next video. Because trust me, McClung isn't the only one being overlooked.